Hi, everyone, and welcome to this round of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I am JB at the desk in New York City, and across the river in Secaucus, new colleague Jim Thome sitting down to have a chat with fans. Jim, how's it going?
Great, guys. How's everything?
We're really excited that you could take some time out of your very busy day to talk with us here in the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Well, as I scour the social media, the first question is from @JBMLB, and he wants to know, now that after 22 years of playing baseball and all-star caliber baseball, what's it like being an MLB Network analyst? The new job, how's it going? Are you looking forward to it? What are you excited about?
I absolutely love it. It's been a great experience. You know, like when I played, I was very fortunate to play with all the stops I was at with great teammates. And I think, you know, joining this group, there's a wonderful group of people here, and it's exciting and fun to come and share a little bit of baseball knowledge and give back to that regard as well. So it's been a blast. I've had such a great time.
All right, well, there we have it. That's the first question from @JBMLB. So, folks, you know how this works. Get your device fired up, fire up the MLB Fans app. Ask your question directly to Jim. You don't want to miss out on that. In addition, if you can't get to that, you can comment on the app, or the hashtag is Chatting Cage on Twitter. I'll read those questions. I'm going to go to the app now. This is from Squirrel312. Jim, of all the homers you hit, and there were plenty of them, which was the most meaningful for you?
Oh, there was a few of them. You know, I mean, back in the day in the old Cleveland ballpark, Cleveland Municipal, I hit a home run after I got called back up to the big leagues. My parents were both there. I crossed home plate. I think it was against Texas. Lefferts, the lefty, was throwing, and I think I hit a home run to left center and rounded. When I got to home plate, I looked, and my mom and dad were sitting there, and the excitement on their face. And the blackout game in Chicago that put us into the playoffs was a great moment. Let's see. I mean, obviously the walk-off 500th homer in Chicago was great, and then 599 and 600 in Detroit was very special as well.
All right, well, there it is. Thanks for letting us in on that. What are your thoughts there, as we've all watched as fans watch you play. Fans, you get involved with this show as quickly as you can. The more you do, the more I get to watch. We all know that's my favorite pastime. A fan joins us right now. What's your name, and what is your question for Jim?
Hey, I'm Alex, and my question, Jim, is what's been the coolest part about still being so involved in the game after your lengthy playing career?
I would say the coolest thing for me is just giving back. You know, I think being blessed and being around great organizations, great people, you know, to be able to give back to the game, to give back to players, to come here, share knowledge towards the game, and maybe help that 8-year-old kid or that 16-year-old kid or a father that's wanting to maybe teach his son or daughter the game of baseball, and if they look at that as an influence that's in a positive way to help their kids, that's ultimately what it's about. And being a baseball guy, it's always great to talk ball talk. You know, that's what's so cool about it.
A lot of wins in that answer right there. Alex, thanks for asking your question. Folks, be like Alex. Get your device fired up. Talk to Jim directly. In the meantime, I will follow up with other questions. You talked about giving back, Jim, so it leads us into the EDJ question of the day. You were a 2-time winner of the Marvin Miller Man of the Year Award, very involved in the community. What does it mean for you? You talked about giving back in baseball. What does it mean for you personally to be giving back in the community?
Well, I think it means a lot, and the one thing I learned with it is you don't do it alone. Your family, the community, the fans, all come together, and really, it wasn't about me winning the Man of the Year. It was about all of us together, because it is, let's face it, when you have a charity or you have an organization that you're close with and you give back to that, you know, it takes an army, it takes a tribe to build and to run it. And you know, I was so blessed for many years to get the opportunity to have great people around me that truly helped me with all of those things, no doubt.
All right, well, thank you so much for that answer to EDJ question of the day. And on behalf of fans everywhere, thanks for being so involved in the community and leading that way, and your family as well for sharing those things. Another fan joins us to ask a question. What's your name? What's your question for Jim?
Hi, my name is Isaac, and my question for you, Jim, is what is your favorite stadium to play in and why?
I would go back. I mean, Jacobs Field for me, from going from Municipal Stadium to the Jake was so awesome. You've really seen at that time, you've seen the city transform itself into, where 1,000 to 1,500 people would show up at the old ballpark. And then we had this great team of the 90s that just built so much excitement in Cleveland, and to be around that and, be given an opportunity during that time to become a big leaguer and to be a part of that special group was so great. So I would say the Jake, no doubt, Jacobs Field.
Thank you, Isaac, for joining the show and for asking that question. We go back now to the MLB Fans app, and this question is coming in a bunch of different ways, so I'm going to select somebody to represent the young hitters out there. E-Pass wants to know, Mr. Thome, what is the biggest tip for young hitters?
The biggest tip, I would say, is to find a good balance base in your swing, in your stance, and get a good base. I always say hitting starts from the bottom up. You got to have good feet. You got to have a good base. Then you come up, and posture, I think, is very important. But at the end of the day, if your shoulder width apart and you've got a good foundation in your lower half, I think everything else kind of flows, to the degree of and the most important thing too is your eyes. You got to see the ball. What we don't see, we don't hit. And if you can pay attention and make sure your eyes are, on the ball as it hits the bat, or at least focus on that, I think that's a big key as well.
All right, there you have it, young players. I hope you were taking notes, and if not, this will be on demand throughout the internet. So keep track on that. This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. That is Jim Thome. We have another fan joining the cage. There is the fan. What's your name? What's your question?
Hey, I'm Brian from New York.
Go ahead, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, Jim. I just want to say a huge fan, but I wonder how hard was it to leave Cleveland and put on a new team's uniform for the first time?
Well, it's always different, no doubt. It's different when you do leave a place that you've been in a long time and you look down and you're familiar with the color that you've always worn. And then you've got to learn new teammates. You've got to learn new front office people just in general. And, I was very blessed. The places that I went after Cleveland, they embraced me, and they truly I think they rooted for me to do well. And as a player, you want to give that back to the fans also.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the show there, Brian. We want fans to join, so get your device fired up. And if not, hashtag is Chatting Cage on Twitter or comment on the MLB Fans app, and I'll read it just like this. I like this one. Baseball is Life wants to know, Jim, what's the best thing about being retired?
Spending time with my kids and being able to go out on a Friday night to dinner with my wife. Like when you're playing, you don't get a Friday night to go have dinner with your wife, and to be around my kids and just have routine, just to be around full time. And I don't do this job enough that it takes me away from home, but it's exciting to do this for the amount of time I do. But being a dad and being able to go and spend time with your wife is I think so great.
That is great. I'm sure she's happy about it too. So we're glad to hear that. Sometimes it's the simple things, folks. It really is hard to understand what a baseball player's life is like with a schedule like that. It is a very grueling 6 to 7 months, man. It's brutal. All right, we go back to the MLB Fans app. Walden45 wants to know, do you think the game has changed from the time that you were playing?
I do. I think the game changes, year to year. I think, I think everything we have new rules. We have new players. We have good new young players. Mm-hmm. And I think, as old school guys that have spent a long time in the game, they can probably answer it better. There's a transformation of new every year, and you got to keep up with that. I mean, let's face it. I mean, 20 years ago, the game today is much different than it was 20 years ago. So you got to adapt to that and be able to relate on the level of the players today.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Not only does it evolve over decades in time, but so season to season.
Sure.
A really interesting point, a way to look at that, too. And I just answered that question a lot. And I haven't even thought about it that way, that year to year it actually has slight changes based on personnel. Speaking of personnel,
Absolutely.
We got a young fan joining us right now. Excited about that. What's your name? What's your question for
Alan.
Mr. Thome?
My name is Alan. I was wondering, at what age did you hit your first home run?
Oh.
Oh, that's a great question. I think it was about 9 was my first 9 or 10 was my first home run over a fence. It was the most exciting moment ever. I mean, I think everybody remembers their first home run. It's been a long time ago, but I do remember visualizing what it felt like to hit it to right center and it went over the fence, and just that moment was so great.
That's awesome. Alan, thanks for that question. And that's a great image. Do you remember where you would have been, Jim?
I was in Peoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Peoria, and I was playing for West Peoria Little League, and yeah, I mean, I remember the trajectory of the ball going over right center.
Oh, man, that is a great feeling for every young ball player. And there you have it, folks. Sometimes you end up being Jim Thome. That's what will happen, from one home run to many more. And I think, and folks, if you want a highlight reel of home runs, by the way, Jim's is the one. You had so many significant home runs that actually were either walk-offs or had key parts in huge games. It was amazing how that calendar lined up for you.
Well, I was very blessed. I was in great lineups. I was around really good organizations that cared about the game, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the ride for sure.
We enjoyed watching it. There's no doubt about that. Jim Thome taking your questions here in the Edward Jones chatting cage. Get your device fired up. Join us. Let me just hang back and watch and listen like this fan right here. What's your name? What's your question for Jim?
How's it going? I'm Brendan. Mr. Thome, how much have you learned about Major League front office operating with Rick Hahn since 2013?
I've learned every day. I think it's a situation where, when I retired, living in Chicago, Mr. Reinsdorf and the White Sox approached me to come aboard, and I mean, and we talked about learning the game. You learn the new sabermetrics. You learn, new players. You new drafted guys that you go down and see. You got to kind of get to know them. I've truly enjoyed my job. I've been around it and given back. When you can share input and then watch somebody go out and transform it onto the field is really the ultimate as an ex-player, to give back and watch somebody else have success.
A great question there. Thank you for that, Brendan. And we're got to say, you have a lot of work to do. You got like 9 jobs now. You're retired. You got your family. You're MLB Network analyst. You're still working with the Sox. I mean, thanks for taking time out of your day to be with us, Jim.
Thank you.
An absolute pleasure. You have a good time hanging out with fans?
Oh, yeah.
That is Jim Thome, everybody, MLB Network analyst and all-around amazing human being. So we thank him for being with you, being here with us. And as always, I thank you, the fans, for being here with the show, because you really are the fuel that makes this show work. So thanks for being with us. We'll see you on the next round of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage.